My name is Stephen Beal, and I'm owner and principal at Beal Business Brokers and Advisors. What we want to talk about in this seminar is how to buy a franchise. And this one will be part one, introduction, where we'll cover some of the basic topics of franchises. We'll start with a disclaimer and a definition of franchise. We'll talk about why buying a franchise makes sense in certain situations, and then we'll talk about how do you choose amongst all the different franchises out there, and then we'll touch briefly on how we can help you. This is the part one of a three-part series on how to buy franchises. So if you enjoy this one, please check out the other two that are also available. So jumping right into it, we want to talk about tonight, I'll start with a disclaimer. I'll be mentioning names of different franchises here, and I'm not going to discuss in terms of pros and cons of any specific franchise. Any investment you make should be done with advice from a qualified professional who understands your personal situation and the situation of the franchise or any business investment. So we're not going to give specific advice in this webinar, and we disclaim any responsibility to that end. So now that the legalities are over with, let's start with just some definitions. There are a lot of different business opportunities out there, and they all use slightly different titles. And so I just want to clarify the terminology that we'll be using in this presentation. A franchise is a very, very formal legal arrangement. And once you see the documents, they're like this thick. And you'll definitely need a lawyer to go through it and make sure you understand what it is you are signing off on. So it's a very formal legal arrangement where the licensor, which is the franchisor, grants the licensee, which is you, the franchisee, the right to use their trademarks, their names, their brand, their signage, their marketing materials, their operational manuals for a specific period of time. It could be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, subject to certain conditions, payments, of course, and obligations. So we're talking about a very serious formal thing. A license arrangement is similar, and in some provinces and some states, a franchise and a license arrangement might be interchangeable. In fact, the franchise document will probably be referred to as a license arrangement. But there may be less degree of control in a license arrangement. And we'll talk about different types of formats, some of which are just more licenses. Finally, the looser form of a business opportunity is called a business opportunity, and there are fewer contractual obligations in either direction. So this might be a situation where someone says, I'll sell you 10 vending machines, and you go find the location. I don't care where you buy your products from or anything. So you're not really using their name or anything. They're just selling you a set of products that you can go and sell to someone else. And so it's a business opportunity in that sense, but there's no further obligations on either side. So having said that, let's talk about the formal franchise arrangements. Here's a couple of well-known names: Tim Hortons, McDonald's, 7-Eleven. You may not be aware that that's a franchise, Midas Mufflers. So here's some well-known franchise names. So why buy a franchise? I think for everyone now, as they look at a franchise, first of all, they start with what's their current situation. So they're looking at their current job, and they're saying, I'm not happy with my current job. And so maybe this is more sort of demand driven. They're looking out there. They're looking to buy themselves a job in some respects to get away from their current job. So many people dream of owning their own business, to be your own boss, to have job security, control your hours. And I always laugh when I come to this point in these presentations, because you're probably not going to work fewer hours working for yourself than when you work for an employer. So yeah, you can control your own hours, but you probably can't reduce them. Build equity. I mean, if you have a thriving, profitable business, you can always turn around and sell it. Or you can leave it to your kids, get your kids involved, teach them something about business, and they can take over or even create a legacy. All of this applies not just to franchises, but also to businesses in general. If we want to talk specifically why buy a franchise, I think we can look at some of the stats, and more than a third of retail sales are currently done through franchises. And if you think of where you do your shopping or eating or fast food or whatever, you'd probably be hard pressed to think of places you visit that aren't somehow tied into a franchise or a large corporate store. With a franchise, you get brand recognition. So I always say, if I were to open up Steve's Coffee Shop, I'd fight just to get people to recognize what that is. Like, they'd drive by, they'd never think of dropping in. But if I open up a Tim Hortons in the exact same location, the day I open, I'll have a lineup. In fact, a drive-through Tim Hortons opened up near where I live a while ago, and the day they opened, their lineup was full because everyone knew who they were. They have proven systems, so they tell you how to make the coffee, how to make the hamburgers, how to fix mufflers, how to do whatever. Also, franchises are typically faster and safer than a standalone startup. Again, Steve's Coffee Shop versus Tim Hortons. Which one is going to get more traction in the first day or two or week or month? A slogan that you'll hear over and over again when you're dealing with franchisors is, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So there is a comfort to have this corporate office that will guide you through the process, that will help you to start your business. They'll also give you training, so that is also a good help. And they'll train you not just in the system of how to deliver the product or service that you are delivering, but also in all the aspects of running a business. A business is a lot more than just delivering products or services. It's in the marketing, the administration, hiring, firing, training the employees, all those different things. And finally, or last but certainly not least, is bank financing is possible. Banks really like franchises. They're probably more willing to lend to a franchise than to an independent business because, again, for all these reasons we've just mentioned, they're comfortable with the brand name. They like the systems and processes. They've got experience. If it's a franchise that's been around for a while, they've lent to dozens or hundreds of Tim Hortons or Burger Kings or McDonald's already, so they're comfortable with the name and the operation, and they're comfortable. If you've already been vetted by the franchisor, then the bank may say, yes, we're comfortable with that candidate. So I'm going to flip it on its head, or this question on the head. Why sell a franchise? And this is a useful question for you to ask when you're talking to a specific franchisor. And maybe you could ask them directly, but they'll give you a basic answer. But it's useful for you to ask this about them just by yourself. And typically the answer, the main answer they give, of course, or the answer that most people typically give is, well, it helps them grow profitably. And certainly the money that you as a franchisee are bringing to the table will help them grow. And certainly the franchise fee that you pay, which could be anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000, obviously helps them grow as well. But that's not the real motivation. So yes, you provide the money for them to grow an extra unit, you provide your money, but what you really bring to the table is your motivation. So it's not just that you can provide capital, but you can provide management, and that's what they're looking for, a motivated local management team or sales force for that product or service. And so that's what a franchisor typically is really looking for. If you get the sense that they're just looking for the $30,000 franchise fee up front, then you might want to run away from that franchisor. They should be looking to you and examining you in as much detail as you need to examine them. So, as I mentioned, the more you understand what the franchisor's business model is, it'll help you determine what they are looking for and help you determine if it's a good fit or not. And we'll talk a bit about some of the different aspects of things that are good fits versus bad fits. So what do you need when you're looking to buy a franchise? First of all, you need to know, what are you looking for? What types of things are you looking for? And we'll talk about that in detail more in part 2, sort of the detailed nitty-gritty of selecting a franchise. You also need a set of skills. Now, ironically, you may not need skills related to the business they're in. For example, McDonald's doesn't really want people who are good at cooking or anything. They're going to teach you all that. And for that matter, they're not looking for chefs. They're looking for people who can run businesses. So the types of skills franchisors are looking for are just general business management skills and general people skills and things like that. Thirdly, you'll need energy. I mean, running any type of business, you need to be motivated, you need energy, you need to devote your time to it. Speaking of which, time is what you'll need as well to manage the business. Some franchises are open to having passive owners. Most of them want the owner to be hands-on, or at least have someone already selected who will be the hands-on manager. Way back when, before I started this business, I was looking around at a number of different businesses, and I actually applied to become a Tim Hortons franchisee. And in the application form, they want to know about me, and they want to know about my spouse, and whether my spouse would be involved in the business. So I filled it out, and of course my spouse has her own career, so I filled it out that way, sent it off, and I got a rejection letter saying, well, we want husband and wives teams to be fully devoted to this business, so we can't just have one person out of the family. So they wanted not just my time, they wanted my spouse's time, and so that wasn't a very good fit. Finally, you need money. There are franchise opportunities all over the map. Some are as cheap as $10,000 or $15,000, but others will run into millions of dollars. So you need to know what level of investment this franchise would require of you. And the good news is, any franchise listing you look at will have all this spelled out fairly clearly. So in terms of cash, you'll need what's referred to as unencumbered cash, and I'll talk about that in a bit more detail. Anywhere from 25 to 40%. The better the name of the franchise, the lower that percentage might be, back to the bank financing comment I made earlier. So if you're buying a Tim Hortons and you've got 20% down, you may be fine, because the bank will finance 80%, assuming you have a good credit rating, which is another thing to look at. Relevant industry experience is helpful, but not necessary. And ready to work hard, even your spouse. And the story I just told you about Tim Hortons, that's what they were looking for. They wanted my spouse to work 24/7 just as much as they wanted me to do that. So unencumbered cash means the amount of cash you have available to invest in a business that has no repayment obligations. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have cash sitting in your bank account right now, but you've got maybe an RSP, or maybe you have some other investments you can cash out, and so that you can put in as a down payment. What it wouldn't include is, say, a second mortgage on your house that will have principal and interest obligations to pay back. So this is a key element, and whenever you fill out a franchise application form, they'll want to know how much cash that you have available as a down payment for the business. So just as I conclude part one, just want to give you a touch summary on the types of things that we get involved with. Obviously, we help people buy businesses and franchises, but we also do business valuations for existing businesses. We work in business brokerage and mergers and acquisitions. So if you're looking to buy or sell a business, we can help you with that. We help with family transitions and management transitions of all sizes of businesses. We also assist with business plans and financing and strategic plans. So thank you for taking your time to listen to this webinar. As I said, this is part one of the franchise section, and we'll be moving on to part two, which will get into the details of selecting a franchise and how to make a choice out of all the different choices out there.